Hi everyone, Roxanne here from FinanceRocks.com. For today's Money with Me live work session, we're going to talk about month-end wrap-up and reporting. The nice thing about these Money with Me Tuesday night work sessions is we really get to work through the different cycles of budgeting and financial management. So, we started with, how to set a budget. We had a mid-month check-in where we compared actual to budgeted spending, so just a little check-in. And now this is the final step of the budget cycle where we are going to do another comparison of actual versus budget, and then kind of do a little reflection on the month, what went well, what didn't, what could you improve for next month's budget. And then we're going to talk about reporting. So we're going to do the regular 3 5-minute long silent work sessions. So if you are new to Money with Me, welcome. We will do an introduction. We'll do the 3 5-minute silent work sessions. The first one is reviewing spending versus budget. The second will be updating your net worth. The third will be August budget prep. And then after each one, we'll regroup, discuss what we worked on, and I'll share a little bit about the next step that we're going to do. During these work sessions, feel free to work on whatever financial tasks you need to work on. Some common ones would be working on side hustle projects. Sometimes I read during the silent work sessions, or you're welcome to follow along with the prompts as well. I will save time at the end for Q&A, so feel free to ask questions throughout the live session or at the end there at the live Q&A. So I wanted to mention every month is different. I'm a big believer in doing a different budget for every month. It helps us to think through what our costs are going to be that month and kind of helps with general monthly planning. So an example being, we're heading into August now. So when you're starting a new month, you might ask, are there any birthdays in our family or friends this month that, you need to have a gift for? You might look at your yearly spending trends. So having a reminder set, for example, that you need to pay your property taxes twice per year, and they're in this month and this month. So it just helps think through how much money you're going to need that month. Hey, Mandaraj, welcome. Audrey, how are you? I forgot to ask in the prompts, what is everyone working on tonight? Thank you. Thanks for joining. So we're going to talk about kind of how every month is different. This time in particular, I do plan on talking more about variable income, what to do if your income isn't exactly the same every month, which is another reason why it's helpful to do a new fresh budget every month, because if your income is different, you may want to tweak your spending to match, higher in the months where it's higher or lower in the months where it is lower. All right, so next, I wanted to mention budgeting down to zero. So this is a pretty common trend among personal finance advice, which is making sure that every dollar in your budget is accounted for. So if you're going to make $2,000 in a month, having a purpose for each of those dollars worth of expenses just helps us get the sense of, that we don't really have money to throw around. Every dollar has a purpose. Even if, there's just a line item that says savings and that money goes to savings, or if you have a line item that says like additional budget payments, for example. Paycheck and accounts. Awesome. Yeah, I haven't done our August budget yet, so I'm going to do our actual budget for August. So yeah, paycheck and accounts, awesome. All right, so we talked about, okay, so let me maybe share. So when I'm talking about budgeting down to zero, it's accounting for all of your dollars of income. So let's say you have $969 of income and you have $969 of expenses, which my math is not right on my formula because this would be zeroed. So just making sure that every dollar is accounted for out of your income is what I mean when I say budget down to zero. Are you guys familiar with that? Is that something that you've used before, the budget down to zero method? Yeah, every month is different. So, all right, so let's get prepped for session one. Work session one, prompts that you could work on would be reviewing your spending versus budget. I did pull out a spreadsheet this time. This is our actual Mint.com total for the month of July so far. So we just have, can you see my cursor? You can, okay. So food and dining, we spent $484.79. So I came over here to food and dining and said $484.79. Home was $121. Oh, we can't see the entries there. Home was $121. So I just filled in this section with the July actuals. And it really should be this simple. It did take a while to get our system set up to where we can easily see our July spending, having a process of categorizing transactions, making sure they're in the right categories, making sure your budget categories match your actual categories, like in your bank, which I did have an error in that this month. So in July, I had initially budgeted $80 under a category called personal, which in the notes I put personal care and entertainment. I forgot that our Mint account separates that into two categories, personal care and entertainment. So you'll see in the dark purple, I just went ahead and split that out. I think that it's fine to change your budget when you need to. Overall, the total budget was the same anyway. But I did separate that out since we had $22 of entertainment spending and we've had $0 of personal care. So I just wanted to kind of shore that up and make it right. Audrey, I've heard of it, but don't do it. I think that there are mixed opinions on it. Some people will say, if you're going to have budgeted amounts for each one, are you going to be more likely to come up with frivolous spending if you are coming in under budget? You know what I mean? Like if you have, like if you're $200 under on like your fun and entertainment budget, are you going to come up with $200 worth of expenses in that category? And certainly I just try to make it as easy as possible. We allow ourselves to borrow from categories if we need to, as long as our overall goals are met, which I have at the bottom here. Our overall goal is to keep our spending at $40,000 per year, which means monthly spending less than $3,333. So yeah, thank you for that feedback. And then what else? I like to do a little reflection on what went well, what could have gone better. Look at where to borrow from or how to use excess dollars. So if you are under budget, you have extra dollars that you could spend, where do you want to put those? Do you have a goal ready to go to apply those to? Like if you are trying to pay off like a Discover card, maybe any extra dollars you have, you have it identified as that's where the dollars will go. And then if you are short in a category, then saying, where else could I cut back on in order to still hit my overall total budget goal? Hopefully that makes sense. You want to ask, is there anything I can delay from shopping or purchases? Checking in on the last few days of the month, it's the best time to review your budget because then, if you have a shopping trip, you can push that into the next month. If you have things you've been wanting to buy, you can kind of put those into the August budget instead. And that just helps to even out your budget and try and keep to that goal that you set for yourself. So where to borrow from and how to use excess. Adjust the budget if you need to. Like I said, I just went in and moved dollars from personal care to entertainment. And then I have this difference column on the far right. And so I always calculate the percent of the month that's complete. So right now we're 28 days through July out of a total 31. So that means we're 90% of the way through July. And then I calculate percent of budget. So this is just the July divided by actual. So I'm 80% of the way through our food budget, but we're 90% of the way through the month. So we're doing well. We have excess budget dollars in food. So those are just a few of the little things that I like to review each time I do that mid-month check-in. Okay, that's it for session 1 prep. Let's go ahead and pull up our timer here, and it'll be a 5-minute silent work session. Feel free to work on what you need to, comment any questions, or let me know what you're working on, and we'll go ahead and get started. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, and work session 1, how did it go? What did you work on? Go ahead and pull this up. So I was thinking about how the month went, what we could have done better, and what went well. What went well, we spent very little. $969 is all we've spent. We do have probably one more grocery purchase probably tomorrow. So yeah, well under budget of the $3,000. So that went well. What could have gone better? So I saved all of our money saving tips until this week, the end of the month. So I'm trying to do, one of my goals was to try to come up with 3 new money saving tips. And this is kind of an ongoing goal that I have, which is just trying to always be improving with our finances, finding new ways to save money, new things we can cut, new ways we can make money. And yeah, I didn't get around to any of them until this week. So this week on my to-do list, I have things like try to make a DIY multi-purpose cleaner. What were some of the other ones? Oh, try to make oat milk. So blending oats and water. It's not even like that would take that much time, but for some reason I procrastinated it till the last week. So maybe I should try to do kind of 1 per week should maybe be my goal instead of just having the three tips per month. So that's what I worked on for session 1. What else was I going to mention? I had one that I forgot. Okay, I also wanted to talk about buffering. So having a little bit of buffer in your budget. So what do you guys do for making sure that you have enough dollars for things that come up that are unexpected? So I try not to have a separate line item that is for like miscellaneous or buffer. I do try really hard to make sure that each category has kind of conservative numbers built in. So there's a little bit of buffer in those numbers. Like for our food spending, having it be $600 includes some buffer in there. Then like in personal care, there's a little bit of buffer in there instead of just having one category that says buffer or extra. And I just think that I try to not have more than like 2% of my total budget be miscellaneous, just because I want to make sure that I'm remembering all of my expenses on a month-to-month basis. And, you know, I mean, there have been times when I have been helping a client and they have maybe like 20% in a miscellaneous category. And, you know, it's really hard to know, can you cut from that category, or are those, you know, legit expenses that are going to happen every month if you have it in a miscellaneous category. So just wanted to mention that, you know, try to make sure that that you have a little bit of buffer in each category, you know, making sure that it's realistic, but you're still being kind to yourself and have enough dollars overall. I know it can be tempting to want to just like cut everything to the bone so that way you can save the most money possible, but also making sure it's realistic and that realistic and buffer, trying to find a good middle ground between those. Okay, session 2 is updating net worth. So for month-end wrap-up, you know, you'd want to finish up categorizing any expenses, compare to budget, kind of see how you did. You know, were you way off? And then in August, you need to adjust your total budget goals. And the next step would be any reporting that you do. Now, I haven't gone over with you guys yet my cash flow tracker. I tried to get it prepped in order to go over it today, but just ran out of time. But net worth tracker is one that we've gone over before, and that would be something that you'd want to update at the end of the month. I'm also not a big stickler for updating it on the exact day of. So like on a net worth tracker, maybe you updated it last on July 7th. I think that's totally fine. I just put in whatever day it happens to be. So in order to update the net worth tracker as of today, I would come in here and say 7/28/2020, for example. You'd go through and fill out the new balance for each of your assets and liabilities. Now, I realized last time that I went over this, I didn't go over really what an asset is and what a liability is. So just for a little bit of clarification, since I know there's some confusion about, like what are assets and what aren't. Some people debate whether or not a house is an asset because they say, if it's your primary residence, you're not really getting income off of it. So is it an asset? If it is it a good asset or not? I just like to use the accounting definitions. So just assets are resources with economic value, and there's some expectation of future value. So examples of assets are your home. So like this would be like the Zillow estimate, for your Zestimate, they call it, on how much your house is worth. It'd be the current balance of any retirement accounts, the current value of your vehicles. I like to use like kbb.com for that. And it would be any balances for checking and saving. So any asset that you have like that. As far as liabilities, it's the sum of money that someone else, or that you owe somebody. So examples of this would be the mortgage, auto loans, personal loans, anything that you owe to other people. So now you can see that, like for a house, if you have the value in assets and the amount you owe in liabilities, part of that is going to kind of net out. And that is your net equity in the assets. So assets minus liabilities is where you get that net worth number. So for 728, for example, we'd come in here, and now I don't look up the KBB value of our cars every time just because it's a little time consuming. But every quarter or half a year, I go in and update them. So this month I might say, okay, that's still just going to be the 9999. Asset 2, Wells Fargo checking account. So you would enter, you'd go in and check your balance and say maybe there's $1,200 in there. Any paper cash you have, not many people have paper cash anymore. Let's say you have $20 in your wallet. 401k balance, same thing, just go in and check. Let's say it's $5,000. We did a checking account already. If you have multiple accounts, I do recommend having separate rows for each one. Just makes it a little easier to fill in each time. And, you'd have to open up both accounts anyway to find the balance. Okay, and then same thing with liabilities. You just keep going down the spreadsheet. The loan balance on your car, if it was $4,000 before, let's say it is $3,500 as of today. Personal loan, let's say you owe, what does that say? Oh, mother. Maybe that's down to $1,300. Student loan, I did break out my student loans based on interest expense, just made it a little easier to see which one I was working on because I paid them off. It's called the debt avalanche, paying off according to highest interest rate first. But even if you decide to do this debt snowball method where you pay the smallest balance first, so if you only owe $500 on one and $1,000 on another, paying the $500 off first. So student loan number one, let's say you owe $10,000 on that still. Putting in your mortgage balance, 150. Oh, well, let's say it went down a little bit. So 145. Oh gosh, my math is not good. 49,500. That's an unrealistic. Okay, anyway. So then on your spreadsheet, you would have your asset total. So you would say, oh, okay, I have assets of $16,000, liabilities of $164,000. So that means my net worth would be negative $148,081. Don't feel too bad if it's negative. It's very normal for people when they add this up to find it be negative. So don't sweat it. Okay. Verna is here. Hello, Verna. Welcome. Okay, we're just getting prepped for session 1. We're gonna. Gosh. Okay. Session 2, updating net worth. And you guys have any questions on calculating net worth? I think it was Verna you asked before on personal assets. Let me know if you have any other questions. If you're just hopping onto the live stream now, we're going to do work session 2, work on whatever you need to work on. If you want to follow along with the prompts, it would be updating your net worth tracker or prepping it. Prepping it because some people do like to do it right on the last day of the month, for example. Okay, let's go ahead and get into it. You guys want to go ahead and get ready. Going to reset our timer. And 3, 2, 1, start. Okay, end of work session 2. How did it go? Go ahead and get this screen up here. Okay, so the third work session is going to be working on filling out August budget. And then I just thought of this, August goals as well. Is there a particular dollar amount that you want to pay towards debt? Are you working on saving an emergency fund and want to have a certain amount saved by the end of the month? Just thinking through, what do you want to have accomplished by the end of August? And then, if you haven't already, putting together an August budget. So for August budgeting, you're going to want to estimate your income for the month. And I did want to talk about variable income today. So what do you do if your income is different every month, or if you're not sure what your income is going to be each month? And I like to use kind of like the Dave Ramsey method for this, which is estimating what do you think is kind of the bare minimum kind of average that you expect to have. And if you use kind of your bare minimum of, what have you historically made in a month, and then you can have a section at the end of your budget where you say, if there are extra dollars that come in, then this is the plan for those dollars. Now, it's kind of an overall strategy that your bare minimum income should be enough to cover your bare minimum expenses. If it's not, that's the kind of scenario where you have to look at, increasing income, or maybe creating another stream of income. So that way you have a little bit more stability. But overall, just kind of your best guess as far as how much you think you will receive. And I know it can be hard to estimate because a lot of the times it's like, oh, well, it hasn't ever been less than this dollar amount. But, it depends on commissions, it depends on sales, it depends on how busy the company is. I know it can be hard to estimate, but I just wanted to throw that out there. Go with the bare minimum that you expect, and then say if there is an extra $50, it'll go towards this. If there's an extra $100, it'll go towards this and this. So just having a plan still for all of those dollars, but based on, the bare minimum. Hopefully that's helpful for you guys. Okay, let's check in with comments here. Verna says, I update net worth at the beginning of the month. Excellent. Audrey, I messed up my math at the credit union, so now I'm having trouble making the account's balance with the outstanding check. Okay, gonna take longer than 5 minutes, yeah. Yeah. I haven't been that good about tracking outstanding checks. That's like checking 101, right? If you have checks go out and then aren't accounting for them and you're spending, yeah, I'm guilty of that one. Budget is looking great. I like the stream. Thank you. And welcome. I don't know that I've recognized you on here before. Business Basics, welcome. Andrew says, I like the bare minimum average. Gives a somewhat reasonable estimate, but still somewhat conservative. Yeah. You never want to be in the position with your budget where you're estimating your income is going to be higher than it ends up being, and then you will have already spent money that you didn't necessarily have. So thank you. I agree with that. You want to be conservative with the numbers and making sure that there is wiggle room in your expenses to make sure that you're covered in total. Thanks, and welcome, Andrew. Okay, prep for session 3. August budget. Things to think about would be things like, are there any birthdays this month for friends or loved ones that you need to buy a gift for? If so, what? I really like the David Allen GTD method of where instead of saying like mom birthday, just spending that little bit of extra time thinking about what are you going to buy? And if you can do that little bit of pre-planning, then you know how much exactly to put in your budget for gift giving instead of saying, oh, I think it'll be, $50 to $100. I don't know. I don't know how much you spend on your mom, but so looking at birthdays, Any travel that you might have, I know it's kind of restricted right now. We've been thinking about maybe renting like a cabin or something, doing a little camping trip. And then, what else do you want to accomplish in the month of August? And then what are the costs that are associated with that? So thinking through budget and goals for August. Yeah, if you guys don't have any more questions, we can go ahead and get right into work session 3. Go ahead and load this up here. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, that's the end of work session 3. I'll go ahead and turn my banners off here. How'd it go? What did you work on? Any questions? I hope it's okay. I clicked away and worked on our actual budget fill-in for August. I am married, so I'm going to have to run it by my husband. That was just a super quick version of kind of just running through and starting to get an estimate for what we're going to do for August. I realized that part of our, I can share it here. I realized that part of our travel costs that we were going to have is going to be reimbursable through my husband's work. One of their bonuses this year was a travel reimbursement for like a vacation. We've been trying to figure out how to spend it. It is going to roll over to the next year. So I put 0 in travel. But that would we'd probably only submit receipts for like the Airbnb. So I did increase our transportation by $100. Is a tank of gas for our truck approximately. So let me know if this was helpful, getting to kind of watch me go through there. Other things, we might have dental visits. I have more cavities. So I've been procrastinating going to the dentist, hoping that our coronavirus numbers get better and it's a little safer. So possibly this month dental appointments. If not, I'll just go ahead and save that money for the next month when we do decide to go to the dentist. Mr. Finance Rocks needs to go as well. Home expenses, I kept the same as the month before just because we're kind of building up sinking funds for that since we have some siding issues that we would like to have addressed, and then a tree person, hiring a tree person to help us trim back the some of the new growth on them. I don't know. I've never hired a tree person before, so arborist, I have no idea. Anyway, most of it was the same as the month before. One thing I like about this is you can structure your categories to make sure that you're spending money in ways that you want to spend. So for example, I got down to the bottom here and I was like, what are we going to spend for education for the month of August? It's a category that we care about a lot. We want to make sure that we are, continuing our education all the time. So yeah, it just maybe I was like, what are we going to do? I don't really have, I've been on book buying sprees. If you guys watched, I did the, what am I reading? my money book haul. So plenty of books have been purchased lately. So I don't know what else we'll do. I might see if I can find like a webinar or, I have several classes purchased on, what is that? There's it's like Coursera. I can't remember if it's Coursera or the other one, but I have like 3 courses just sitting in there waiting for me to take them. So I definitely don't need any more courses right now. Yeah, so I'm not really sure what we're going to do for education yet. Verna says, still wary of booking any trips due to COVID. Yeah, same. We're really trying hard to stay home and just, trying to wait as long as possible before we start down that route again. It's pretty nice here in Montana. There's lots of like really private outdoor areas. Like you can rent pretty remote cabins. So we might do something like that is what I was thinking. And we'd really like to see family. It's been so long. I know it's not good. We're still trying to. All right, let's see. So yeah, with reimbursable stuff, you have 2 choices. You can either make it so that they net out the reimbursement and then the cost that gets reimbursed. So making sure that, if you're going to get reimbursed for like a $50 dinner, you could have a custom category in income and say $50, make this reimbursement. If I can spell, which I probably cannot. And then, I would include $50 down here and say hotel reimbursement or dinner reimbursement. Oh, God. Don't look, I can't spell. So you can do it that way where you include 50 and 50, or you can do 0 and 0 and just make a note of it. I do like to keep a column just for comments and notes so that I remember what the heck I was doing when I was going through that month. Because sometimes I'll be like, oh, why was transportation budgeted so high this month? We didn't, if I'm looking at actual and saying, oh, well, why was it so high? Excuse me. Having those notes just helps trigger that memory of what the heck we were doing. So that's reimbursements. I did want to mention that. So we talked about kind of buffering, making sure that we leave a little bit of gap. I left food for August at the same as July, which $600 is high for us since we're a 2-person household. But there's nothing else to do right now, so we are spending a little more dining out, supporting more local restaurants. So that's intentionally high, a little bit of a buffer there. If you guys don't have any other questions, I did just want to leave one takeaway, which is this is the perfect time of month to look at purchase procrastination. Anything that you can kick the can down the road into August on is going to help if you're running over on your budget. And it seems a little silly, right, to wait like 3 extra days before buying something. But it's a win-win from a budgeting perspective because you protect your current budget by not going over in that category, and you have information ready to go for the next month. So, then you can factor it in and make sure that you're purchasing the things that you want so that you don't feel deprived, but you're still prioritizing and making sure that, that you're making room for those things that you want. So yeah, it's a great time to look at, could we wait a few more days to go shopping? Could we raid our freezer, go through the pantry, dig out anything that you can dig out? I know I've said it before, but I think one of the biggest mistakes people make with budgeting is not comparing it to your actual. So I have on here our budget column and our actual column. Whoops. Okay, so budget column for July, actual column for July, and just looking through and seeing, am I hitting this budget? If not, what can I do? And usually waiting is a very good kind of workaround for that. And, there's times where you might, take a harder look at it and say, okay, well, I'd like to, work on increasing our income to solve this problem, or what kinds of things can I sell from our house? Anything like that is going to help you to hit your current budget and help with future budgets as well. Okay, we did our 3 work sessions. Let me know what was the most helpful takeaway from this Money with Me work session. Feel free if you ever have ideas on content or prompts to go over during the work sessions. You can always comment them, or you can email me. It's rocks@financerocks.com. Okay, next week, like I said, I want to try to do cash management. And I haven't gone over it on the channel before, kind of what I do for looking at, how much money do we have saved. So this isn't for budgeting, it's for prior month savings. So this is, making sure that we have our emergency fund amounts set aside, making sure we have our sinking funds from previous months actually set aside and accounted for, looking at upcoming expenses, and saying, okay, how much of the money that I have is for this future expense. So I want to go over cash management. I'm not sure if it'll be next week, just because I want to kind of flesh out. I updated the spreadsheet, and so I want to make sure that I have everything explained well as far as what I do for that. Similar to budgeting, but for cash. So probably that'll be the topic for next time. If you're new to Money with Me's, they're every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. I think we all like this format with the 3 5-minute long silent work sessions. I'm open to suggestions, so always let me know if you think that they should be longer or shorter, fewer or more total sessions. Yeah, and with that, I'll go ahead and let you guys go. Thank you so much for hopping on. It was nice to chat, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.